The smell of whiskey always reached us before his footsteps did. My little sister, Lila, and I would freeze where we were, eyes wide, hearts thudding like frightened birds trapped in a cage. We knew that smell. We knew it meant our father was home, and not the version of him who told jokes at family gatherings or helped neighbors carry heavy boxes. This was the other version, the cruel one. The one who yelled for no reason and hit when he couldn't find words. Before I continue this story, make you subscribe on this channel and let me know where you are watching from in the comments section. Our house was small, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, creaky floors that betrayed even the softest steps. There was no place to hide. Lila would often cling to me, her small fingers tightening around my shirt as the door slammed shut and the silence of the house cracked in half. I was only 8 then. Lila was 5. He used to sit in the living room, drink in hand, eyes locked on the television but not really watching. Our mother stayed in the kitchen, always busying herself with dishes or wiping already clean countertops. She never looked at us. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe she was afraid too. I remember the first time he hit me. It wasn't with a fist. It was a backhanded slap that caught my cheek and spun my tiny body sideways. My crime? I laughed too loudly. Lila watched from the hallway, her teddy bear limp in her hand, and I saw something vanish from her eyes that day, some spark of innocence I couldn't get back for her. But that was just the beginning. Our mother was like wallpaper, always there, always quiet, fading into the background. She cooked, cleaned, folded laundry with mechanical hands. She never hugged us. Never asked us if we were okay. I used to wonder if she even noticed the bruises. Maybe she did. Maybe she thought silence would keep us safer. One evening, I saw her flinch when he raised his voice at her over a burnt pot roast. But that was all, just a flinch. He didn't hit her, not then. He saved the violence for Lila and me. And she looked away. That night, Lila came to my bed, trembling. "Why doesn't Mommy stop him?" she whispered. I had no answer. So I pulled her under the blanket and wrapped my arms around her, hoping my warmth could make up for everything else she was missing. That night I made a promise to myself, I would protect Lila, no matter what. Even if Mom wouldn't. Even if no one else ever did. The bruises grew more frequent. But so did my determination. The worst part was the crying. Not my own, I learned to hold that in. It was Lila's. Her soft whimpers in the dark, her yelps when he grabbed her too hard, the way she called my name like I could somehow make it stop. One afternoon, she dropped a glass of juice. It shattered on the kitchen floor, and before she could even say sorry, he was there. The belt in his hand. The rage in his eyes. I ran in screaming, throwing myself between them. It was me. I spilled it. I shouted. He paused, confused. Then his hand swung toward me instead. The sting across my back burned for hours, but I didn't care. Lila didn't get hit that time. That night, she held my hand and didn't let go. Her tiny fingers wrapped around mine like roots trying to find something solid in the storm. "You're my hero," she whispered. I didn't feel like one. I was just a scared kid pretending to be strong. But for her, I had to be. School became my refuge. It was the only place where I could breathe, laugh, exist without fear. I loved my teachers, the orderly rows of desks, the smell of books and pencil shavings. It was a world with rules. Safe rules. Lila didn't have that yet, she was still in kindergarten, where everything was finger paint and nap time. But I made sure to check on her whenever I could. At lunch, I peeked through the glass door of her classroom to make sure she was okay. Sometimes she looked happy. Other times, she looked far away. One day, my third-grade teacher, Mrs. Carter, pulled me aside after class. "I've noticed you've been quieter lately. Is everything okay at home?" I stared at her, panic crawling up my throat. I wanted to tell her. God, I wanted to tell someone. But I couldn't. What if they took us away? What if it made him angrier? So I lied. I smiled. Everything's fine. And she believed me. But the seed was planted. Sometimes bruises can be hidden under clothes. But not always. One day, he slammed me into the doorframe so hard I had a black eye. I told the teacher I fell off my bike. She frowned but didn't push. I guess they're trained not to assume the worst. But whispers started. Did you see her face? She's always so jumpy. Something's not right. It only took one person to report it. A counselor asked to speak with me privately. I sat across from her in a small room filled with soft furniture and motivational posters. You can tell me anything, she said. I'm here to help. I looked at her kind eyes and swallowed the lump in my throat. But still, I said nothing. I couldn't betray Lila. If I talked, they'd separate us. So I stayed silent. But someone else was watching. Someone I didn't expect, Lila. As I grew older, so did his temper. What started as occasional slaps became regular beatings. He didn't even need a reason anymore. A misplaced toy, an empty fridge, a bad day at work, anything could set him off. Lila became quieter. She didn't play much. She flinched at sudden noises. She wouldn't look adults in the eye. I started to hate him. Not just fear him, hate him. That hate grew in me like a fire, fueling my resolve to one day get us away. Sometimes I dreamed of packing Lila in a suitcase and running away. But where would we go? We had no relatives nearby. No money. No plan. So instead, I kept surviving. One day at a time. I learned to read his moods. The way he walked. The way his jaw tightened. I could tell when he was about to explode. I started intercepting him. Standing between him and Lila. Offering to clean, to cook, to fix whatever he was angry about. It didn't always work. But sometimes it did. She stopped crying as much. Maybe she was just learning to hide it better. One night, he came home later than usual, reeking of liquor. Lila had fallen asleep on the couch with her coloring book. He saw the mess of crayons and paper and flew into a rage. I got there just in time. He shoved me against the wall. You worthless brat. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I looked him dead in the eye. You'll never break me. He stared at me, stunned, then stormed out. That was the night I realized I wasn't afraid anymore. The night it all shattered started quietly. Too quietly. We had dinner like usual, cold, silent, tense. Mom kept her eyes down. Lila picked at her food. He had already been drinking. After dinner, he started yelling about a missing paycheck stub. Accused Mom of hiding it. When she tried to explain, he slapped her. It was the first time he'd hit her in front of us. Something snapped in me. I grabbed the phone. He lunged at me, and I ran. Lila screamed. Mom froze. I made it outside and called 911. My dad, he's hurting us. Please come. The sirens came fast. That night, everything changed. The police arrived. Red and blue lights lit up our tiny street like a carnival. He was arrested. Mom cried. Lila clung to me like her life depended on it. Maybe it did. We were taken to a shelter that night. A warm bed. Clean clothes. Kind voices. It felt like another world. I held Lila as she slept and cried silently. For the life we lost. For the fear we'd lived in. For the unknown future ahead. But mostly, I cried with relief. At the shelter, we met Mrs. Lopez, a volunteer with gentle eyes and a voice like honey. She brought us toys, books, warm meals. She listened when we spoke. She was the first adult who made us feel safe. She helped us find counseling. Helped Mom get into a program. Helped Lila smile again. We stayed there for 3 months. Each day, the fear faded a little more. And hope took its place. We moved into a small apartment with the help of a community program. It wasn't much, just 2 bedrooms and a tiny kitchen, but it was ours. And for the first time in years, we didn't jump at every sound. Lila started laughing again. Real laughs. Giggling until she snorted. I hadn't heard that in so long. I cried the first time it happened. Mom was different too. She spoke more. Smiled more. Attended therapy and group meetings. Sometimes I still looked at her with resentment, but she was trying. We all were. It wasn't easy. Nightmares still came. Triggers still lurked. But we were learning to heal. Together. In therapy, they told me to write down everything. To give the pain a name. So I did. I wrote about the belt. The bruises. The broken toys. The broken hearts. I also wrote about Lila. Her eyes. Her courage. Her quiet strength. One day, she read my journal by accident. I expected her to be angry. Instead, she hugged me. You were always there for me, she said. You saved me. And for the first time, I believed her. When the trial came, we were asked to testify. I was terrified. But I knew I had to do it, for me, for Lila, for every kid out there still living in fear. I took the stand. I told the truth. My voice trembled, but I didn't stop. I looked my father in the eyes. You don't own me anymore, I said. He was sentenced to prison. It wasn't justice in the fairy tale sense, but it was something. It was an ending. And a beginning. Years passed. Lila and I both grew taller, older, stronger. We graduated school. We went to therapy. We talked. A lot. Mom rebuilt herself too. She got a part-time job and volunteered at the same shelter that had taken us in. I started tutoring younger kids. Especially those who looked a little too quiet. A little too scared. We never forgot. We never will. But the pain no longer defined us. We were more. Now, I'm in college studying social work. Lila wants to be a teacher. We both chose careers where we can protect kids like we once were. We celebrate birthdays. We dance in the kitchen. We argue over movie choices. We live. Our past will always be a part of us. But it's not our whole story. Our story is about survival. About sisters. About breaking the cycle. And about a grandma, me, who once swore she'd protect her little sister no matter what. I did. And I always will. To anyone who has lived through the quiet terror of an abusive home, who has endured the weight of silence while trying to shield the ones they love most, you are stronger than you know. This story is not just about pain. It's about survival. It's about a young girl who became a mother, protector, and hero to her little sister long before she had a chance to be a child herself. It's about bravery in the face of cruelty. It's about holding on to hope even when the world offers none. When a father turns into a figure of fear, the soul fractures. Trust breaks. Childhood ends too soon. And yet, despite all of this, you, like the grandma in this story, fought to protect someone you loved. You stood between danger and innocence. That is not weakness. That is the purest form of courage. To be hurt by the very person meant to protect you is a betrayal that cuts deep. And yet, somehow, you found the strength to keep going. To wake up. To dry someone else's tears. To take beatings meant for someone more vulnerable. You didn't just survive, you endured with purpose. And that is something to be proud of. Many who read this story might weep. Others might see themselves in it. Some might finally find the courage to speak out. And you? If you're the one who lived this story, you have become a voice for the voiceless. A light for those still trapped in the darkness you escaped from. Please know this, you are not broken. You are healing. You are not weak. You are powerful beyond belief. It takes immeasurable strength to protect someone while you're suffering. It takes extraordinary love to still care when your heart is shattered. What you did for your little sister will stay with her forever. Your protection, your comfort, your quiet resistance, it became the foundation for her survival. In a world where everything was terrifying, you were her safe place. That's what real love looks like. Your story doesn't end in the pain. It blossoms in the healing. You've transformed tragedy into testimony. And now, as a grandmother, your scars are no longer signs of suffering, they're symbols of survival. They tell a story not of defeat, but of triumph. For those still living this nightmare, please remember that you are not alone. There are people who care. There are shelters, social workers, teachers, neighbors, even strangers, people who want to help. Speak if you can. Whisper if you must. But never stop believing that there is a way out. For those who escaped and still feel haunted, healing is not linear. It's messy. It's slow. Some days you'll feel strong, others you'll feel broken again. That's okay. Give yourself grace. You already survived the worst. Now you're learning how to live, and that's its own kind of bravery. For those who grew up without abuse, but read this story and felt moved, use your voice. Speak up when you see signs of harm. Be the adult a child can trust. Show them what safety looks like. And to the little girl who grew up too soon, who carried her sister out of hell with nothing but love and stubborn strength, you are a warrior. You didn't wait to be rescued. You became the rescuer. You're proof that cycles can be broken. That darkness can turn into light. That even the most wounded can rise, speak, and heal. So now, as a grandmother, you don't just tell bedtime stories, you tell real stories. Stories that matter. Stories that save lives. You are not just a survivor. You are a legacy of courage. Never forget that.